It doesn't matter where you live in the world, there's always at least one vehicle you can't get your hands on. Be it the Chevrolet Bolt or Opel Ampera in the UK, the first generation Nissan Leaf in New Zealand, or the Renault Zoe in the US. There will always be at least a handful of people in one market who want a so-called forbidden fruit from another country. Sometimes, however, independent dealers or customers can, with varying degrees of success, import these forbidden fruit vehicles from their country of origin to a place where they're not usually sold. These imports, usually used vehicles rather than new ones, are called grey market cars, since they are not officially imported by their manufacturer, but rather imported using a third party. Take the Tesla Model 3, for example. At the moment, you can only buy a Tesla Model 3 if you live in North America, but over the past few weeks, some grey market Model 3s have turned up on European automotive websites, offered as US spec vehicles and listed with a healthy markup to cover their import duties and shipping, not to mention a premium because you're getting a Model 3 before the rest of the country. Some of these vehicles come from European automakers who've purchased the car to reverse engineer the Model 3 and now have no need for the car, and some come from speculating grey market importers. A similar situation occurred a few years ago with the Model S and Model X in China, where grey market cars were imported long before Tesla opened an official store there. And in Russia, where Tesla still has to establish a proper sales and service network, wealthy customers can pay more than twice the standard price to have their own Model S or Model X shipped over from the US. It's not just Teslas too. I've seen grey market imports of European and Japanese spec cars, including the Nissan Leaf and Nissan ENV200, in markets where they're not technically sold. So how are these vehicles imported and how easy is it? Well, that depends on where you live and the local laws. For example, in order to import a car younger than 25 years old to the US, there's a great deal of red tape that must be overcome, and for the individual owner, it's just not cost effective to undertake such an endeavour. Indeed, in order to import a grey market car to the US, it must still satisfy all of the same crash test, emissions and safety standards as a US market car. And in order to prove that, the importer is expected to submit many samples to the federal government for testing, or destruction, if you prefer. There are a handful of vehicles which do comply with US federal safety standards and as such can be imported, either because someone paid in the past to undertake a huge amount of testing, or because the original manufacturer underwent compliance testing of the vehicle and then decided not to import it. As a side note though, I should note that even non-US versions of US market cars may not be eligible to import. I know this because for a while I wanted to import my right-hand drive Nissan Leaf to the US, but it just wasn't practical to do though because of all the red tape. If the car is older than 25 years old, the US import process is a lot simpler, but there's still a lot of red tape to follow. What about other countries? Well, as I've said, it does depend on local laws. Europe is a little more relaxed on imports, with US and Japanese market imports allowed under grey market regs. Even then, though, there will still be modifications that will need to be made to such vehicles before they're considered road legal and officially registerable. If you are after a grey market version of an impossible-to-get EV, then you should probably work with a specialist import agent who can help you deal with all that red tape. It will cost you though, and it may be easier to just buy a car which has already been imported and registered. A friend did that with a Japanese market Nissan Cube in the UK, and of course Doug DeMuro has plenty of experience of that over on his YouTube channel. So you've discovered that you can import a grey market electric vehicle, but should you? Well, that depends on your outlook. If you're looking for a cheap used Leaf from Japan, for example, the places where Japanese market cars are imported, the UK, New Zealand and Australia primarily, should have specialists who can work on the car. And while not all Nissan dealers will work on an import car, you may be lucky enough to find one near you who will. But you should check first. Even if you can work out regular servicing, however, there are other issues you won't be able to deal with, such as original equipment that may not work in your home country. For example, US market cars will have different charging ports to European and Japanese market models. Even Tesla uses a different charging standard in different countries for its supercharger network. Japanese market cars may also have the infotainment and controls hardwired in Japanese with no way to translate them to your local language. If you speak Japanese, then no problem, but otherwise you might find it a pain. Additionally, Japanese market cars will have a different radio to some of other markets, as they use the 76 to 90 megahertz range that most other countries don't. Sure, you can get some converters for this, but it's still a pain in the butt. In a similar way, US market cars have satellite radio, which won't work in Europe, because in Europe they use DAB instead. And if you're importing a right-hand drive car to a left-hand drive country, there's also the issue of being on the wrong side of the car, even if it's road legal. Finally, there's the whole thing about warranty. When a car leaves its country of origin, it generally loses its warranty, or at least it needs to return to its country of origin for warranty repairs. So even if it's a new vehicle, don't expect a local dealership to be able to fix your car if it goes wrong under warranty. If it breaks, you're going to be paying to fix it. My advice? Generally, you probably shouldn't bother with imported grey market EVs unless you're doing it through a specialist in your own country who's willing to service and repair the vehicle as well. In that case, go ahead. But otherwise, unless you're really determined, I'd say not. That's it. As always, hit the notification bell to hear the moment a new show is uploaded. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to this channel, and be sure to check out our second channel, Transport Evolved Take 2, where you'll see a little more behind the scenes type stuff. And of course, if you'd like to help this channel keep going, please consider donating through Patreon. You'll find the link below. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep evolving.